Welcome everybody to our session today. Today we continue with our topic of yesterday, essence of strategy. Thank you, Peter. We are solving on that. Hope I'm audible. If you can hear us, kindly type a yes. If no, type a no. Oh, thank you, thank you. I'll also let you know which country you're having a participant from. Kindly type from which country are you joining us from. If you can hear me, kindly. Which country are you joining us from? Thank you, Kirifi, Nairobi, Kenya, welcome all. Thank you, Nairobi. Thank you, welcome all. Today we still dive into our yesterday's topic of essence of strategy. And a little bit of our housekeeping rules is to request all our participants to be on mute and to have all their videos off, and to kindly chat your question through our chat room. If you're experiencing a challenge, you can kindly privately chat me through a private chat at Rachel Rombo, and we try to see where the problem can be. If you have any question, chat us through the chat room. Yes, our today's panelist will also be our moderator, Martin Wanjohi, the CEO of High Performance Africa.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Small technical problems, technology. If you can hear me, kindly type on chat a Y and a no for yes, a Y for yes and an N for no. Great. So as I try to resolve from my end, today's session is going to be more of a discussion session. We have a few questions from yesterday and we'd like to pick more questions from participants today. By a show of how many people were in yesterday's session? Type a Y if you were in yesterday's session. Type a Y if you're in your yesterday's session. Okay. Just to see the people who were in yesterday's session, great. As I try to sort out sound, last minute hitches, it's technology. And as we say, it's not what happens to you. As we say, it's not what happens to you, but what you do with what happens. So today's session is about the essence of strategy. Charles Odoch is tied up. He will be joining us later as we proceed. Just to introduce myself, my name is Martin Wanjohi, Chief Learning Officer at High Performance Africa. Just a little bit of background. I am a certified balance scorecard practitioner by Palladium Group. I also am an instructional designer certified by Association of Talent Development and an e-learning instructional designer with Association of Talent Management also. Some time back, about 10 years, I did undertake a course around neuro-linguistics programming, basically understanding how people think and behave. So I'd like to welcome everyone to today's session. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's session. So where we will start with is maybe where we stopped yesterday, and we can first ask, were there any questions from yesterday that were not resolved, or is there anything anyone in the audience would like to know that about around strategy and around balance scorecard. Today's session is going to be totally interactive. So we're all learning from each other today. Okay, so a question from yesterday's session from the audience. Okay, let me ask maybe who in the group, in the organization has implemented balance scorecard? In your organization, if you have implemented balance scorecard, kindly on chat say why, N for no, that the organization is not using the balance scorecard. Okay, great. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of no's and a few why's. Okay, so for those who have not implemented balance scorecard, what would you like to know about the balance scorecard today within this 1 hour? You can type your question on chat, and then I can share what I believe, what happens with organizations who take on the balance scorecard. One of the key things is an organization that adopts a balance scorecard as a strategy execution methodology discovers a lot of gaps that they have. Why? Because you listing your plans, and then you point out what exactly you need to look at, and then look at, do you have the skills? Do you have the culture to achieve the strategy? Do you have the right people? So Edward, as I'm saying, one of the benefits of a balance scorecard is when your strategy as it is right now is only understandable probably at a high level, executive level. Worse if employees are not involved in the strategy, and I mean by managers and executive. So balance scorecard helps one to translate that strategy into understandable. Even someone out there in the field can understand what the strategy is. You'll agree with me if you look at how many people have read okay, the people who say they have not implemented, they're not implementing the balance scorecard. Your organization has a strategy, yes or no? And then we can proceed to the network to the application and the benefits. Your organization already has a strategy, yes, okay. The people who say they're not using balance scorecard, this question is for you. Your organization, do you have a strategy? 3-year, 5-year plan? Great. Okay, then the second question, and this is for everyone, were your managers involved in the formulation of that document, of that plan? Yes, if managers were involved together with that score. No, if it was made in somewhere and it was brought. Okay, so I'm seeing people who are involved. My organization has a strategy, but it is not made open to everyone. Now, you have a plan what you want to achieve, and nobody knows what you want to achieve. Good luck with getting it achieved. Yeah. So Peter, everyone needs to know strategy in the organization, right from the CEO to the person who's support staff, because then it is like knowing where you want to go, and you're a team of 100, but only one person knows where you want to go. So Peter, the strategy needs to be understood by everyone in the organization. So one thing you'll find with the strategy, it is a document, it is a high-level document made by managers and the executive. And they're not the ones to execute that strategy. Strategy is to be executed by the employees. So how does a secretary relate to that, to the things that you want to achieve? First of all, you have maybe your strategic objectives, maybe 5 or 6. So how then does every division, every employee plug in to support the achievement of that plan? And this is where balance scorecard comes in. Balance scorecard helps to translate, to align, and to translate, cascade, and align every department in the organization to that, to the objectives as listed in the strategic document. So each division comes in to see how they contribute to the attainment, and then you go down to the departments, and then down to the employee level. So you have a chain. We have an apple we want to eat, to achieve, to eat. I may use the example of an apple. You have an apple we want to get. So how does everybody in the organization make a contribution in terms of achievements? And this is where you derive the KPIs so that we are able to achieve the goal that we want. So Anthony, you're asking, how do you cascade the balance scorecard from executive to all employees? So the balance scorecard process is normally workshopping. So the first workshopping is, you cannot talk to people about something they do not understand. So first is to train the managers and then train your executive on the balance scorecard. Then the second step is to actually now have a workshop where you're doing the translation. So this is, we have our, from your strategy document, we have listed our objectives. In which perspective do they fall? Are they financial? Are they customer oriented? Are they process, or are they learning and development, or what we call it now, enablers? So then from there, you will, and this is involving executives and managers, because these are the people who will drive your strategy. If you go and make it in your office, or you get a consultant just to make it the whole thing for you without involving the workshops, will become the consultant's strategy, or they becomes the consultant's balance scorecard. So then after that, you have to have validations that everybody agrees that this is how we are contributing. And as you're doing these workshops, you will be creating KPIs. And these KPIs will either be strategic or initiatives. You'll also be coming up with initiatives so that you can achieve your strategic objectives. Then this will now trickle down to the department. And at the end of this session, you will have the documents you come up with. Are, you have your corporate strategy map, you have your corporate strategy booklet, and then you have your departmental strategy booklets, right? So I hope, Anthony, I hope that helps you with that question. Let me try and share the poster for today so that we are together. And then I'll ask for another question from the audience as we try and resolve this. Okay. So Anthony, you're satisfied with the response we have given? I hope so. Oh, thank you. So so there was something else. I'm trying to sort out the screen as we are talking. We are continuing. Now, let me ask, for those who have been using the balance scorecard, have you been able to realize benefit from using the balance scorecard? Yes or no? Or we're still a yes for yes, you've realized the benefit, and for the no, And this is for those who are not using the balance, who are using the balance scorecard. On chat, can you chat if you're realizing the benefits? We're trying to sort out some technical issues with the screen share. Our apologies. Okay. So I'm seeing one person has been able there. Okay, so this is second. Two people have responded to that question. That yes, you're realizing benefit. So can we assume all the others have not realized benefit? Those who are using the balance scorecard. Now, to be honest, balance scorecard is a transformation tool. You utilize the balance scorecard in your organization. One thing you'll be able to do is to transform your whole entire organization. What do we mean? So as you we always say that strategy and culture go hand in hand. So one of the things that you'll have to do as you implement the balance scorecard, you will have to identify the culture that you require to achieve that the strategy that you need. The other thing that you'll also need to do is you will have to look at the competencies. Do we have the right competencies to achieve the strategy that we want in our organization? So balance scorecard is very detailed in terms of what you'll be able to with. My apologies. I think you'll allow me to just we run with the screen as it is, and then we continue with the discussion session. So allow me that the screen runs like that, and as soon as we have this figured out, we can be able to rectify that. Okay, so, I think we have shared that. We have been able to share that question. So back to our session. For those who are using the balance scorecard, what challenges do you have, if we might ask? What challenges do you have? You can just type it on chat. The other thing is, if you're going to utilize, what do we mean? Balance scorecard equals transformation equals change. So one is the end result and the benefit is one, aligning everyone to the change that you want to achieve, aligning everyone to the objectives that you want to achieve. So let me ask a question to the audience right now. You have your strategy, and at the end of the strategy period, you're usually able to measure what percent of the strategy has been achieved. On chart, yes, if you're able to track. No, you don't know at what percent you've actually achieved of that strategy. The audience, okay? The question is, you have your strategy, this is whether you're using the balance scorecard or you're not, that you have your strategy document that at the end of that strategy document, you're able to achieve, you're able to measure what percent of the strategy you have. Okay, on chat. I believe everybody here in the organization, they have their strategy document. So at the end of the strategy period, you just move in to create a new strategy for the next period, or you actually review and measure, we achieved 50%, we achieved 20%, we achieved 80%. Are you able to measure strategy achievement? Okay. Okay. Let's go on giving the feedback. We have 25 people in the room. Let's share. This is we are sharing knowledge, learning from each other. So if you're able to measure the percentage achievement of your strategy at the strategic period, kindly type a yes or a Y or a N. And then maybe as people type or cough, maybe you can tell us how on chart, you can tell us how do you measure? What method do you use a balance scorecard? Or if not, how do you measure how much, what the percent you have achieved? Yeah, of course, you can share with us on chat, or anybody who is saying yes, they're able to measure. You can share on chat how you measure in a very simple manner. So as we wait for the feedback on that from chat, I'd like to ask, how many people in this session would like to transform the organization? Perfect. Of course, so you're using the balance scorecard. Perfect. That makes a lot of sense. So I'd like to ask the people who are in this session who are not using the balance scorecard, would you like to transform your organization? Or you would respond, that's not up to us. So let's have a yes, a Y for yes, and not up to us for that's something beyond us. Okay. Okay, great. So what I'd like to do, Helen, I'm saying beyond us, thank you for that honest feedback. But so now as HR, Helen, you need to sell balance scorecard to your executive and your CEO. Strategy is basically CEO's domain. So anything that would help CEO achieve strategy, I think that would be a welcome thing. So I'd like to open the floor for questions as we look at some questions that we had from yesterday's session. I'd like to welcome questions from the audience. If you are thinking this is a good thing that we'd like to do, and I'd like to know something about the balance scorecard, I think this would be the right time for that question. Okay, Emmanuel, perfect. Now, one thing balance scorecard requires a lot of data and is very specific and is also not activity based. It is more of outcome based. So which every KPI, you have to have formulas on how you're going to measure, which data you're going to track. And so that's how you're able to measure how much of your strategy you have actually achieved. Okay, Alan Joroge. Is balance scorecard applicable to all levels or only management levels? Balance scorecard is applicable to each and every employee. Each employee, one of the end products is a personal scorecard for everyone. So you'd have your corporate strategy, and then each employee would have a personal scorecard. So you're able to track how much or what they're actually contributing to strategy achievement. Now, let me share this, that strategy, if you were to take let me just okay. If you can follow me, just drawing something. This is supposed to be a trust. Sorry. Uh, so if you take this as I was not very good on art in class on art. So if you take this being the top of the organization, strategy goes down. So strategy moves from the top from the top down. And then everyone does PM here. We do performance management. Yes? No? We measure how people are performing. In the organization, you do performance management. Great. Now, you can measure. So, because we all do performance management, PM in balance scorecard. So balance scorecard can be used both as a strategy execution tool and as a performance management tool. So you use balance scorecard to cascade the entire strategy to the down in the organization. And as a PM tool, what happens is this becomes your PM. So you're measuring what is actually everyone contributing. So you're measuring their contribution to the KPIs in the balance scorecard and not measuring. So in balance scorecard, you have strategic objectives KPI, you have initiatives KPI, and you have your operational KPIs, or what we call your business as usual. So we have found most organizations measure the business as usual, the normal operations you do every day that is not bound to transform much. So let me ask a question. You are a manager, you're in this session, and you're always busy, you have very little time, you're always stuck in meetings. Type yes if that describes you. You're a manager, you're so busy, you meeting people, yeah? Great. Now, this is where the balance scorecard comes in. Balance scorecard doesn't care about the activities you're involved with, but it has the outcomes that are expected. Balance scorecard measures outcomes, not activities. Even if you walked 20 kilometers, question is, what did you achieve? What was the outcome of you walking 20 kilometers? Yesterday, we had a question of how do you measure the performance of how do you set KPIs of a technician who's out in the field? So question is it the number of people he sees in a day or the number of problems solved in a day? So let's just look at this. So which would a better KPI? Number of customers seen in a day, number of problems resolved. So I would like you to choose between 1 and 2. So if KPI 1 sounds good to you, type a 1. If you'd like to go with KPI 2, type a 2. So KPI 1, number of customers seen in a day. 2, number of customer problems resolved in a day. Okay, so there's a question I'm seeing here as we take that. Is balance scorecard applicable in manufacturing setting where you have unskilled personnel undertaking manual activities? Now, your people are performing something, is contributing to attainment of a strategy. Unless you're just they're just there to do what needs to be done every day. Now, again, just to share, within the KPIs, these are a way KPIs are allocated. So we talked of 3 categories of KPIs: strategic objectives KPI, initiatives KPI, and operational KPIs. Now, employees like those ones we have talked about and skilled and everything, they will have a lot of operational. So the business as usual. They're not doing anything that is bound to change the world, right? But they have a small contribution. So again, managers, managers will have exco and managers will have a higher percentage of strategic objectives, things that will take the company ahead, things that will change the way things are done, how leadership is done in the organization. And then as you come down, then the proportion of the KPIs differ depending on the level of the employee. So yes, balance scorecard is applicable to every employee in the organization. I'm sure you'd like to know what everyone is contributing to, whether they are skilled or unskilled, because you're paying them some money to perform something. So you'd want to know how much is that contributing to your achievement. In as much as you have what you need to do every day, what we call your business as usual, there is a thing that you need to be doing for continued renewal of your organization. And that's why you have managers. The job of managers is to think propel business and increase profitability. So there's a question, I would like management to buy into balance scorecard. How do I get it done? The question of, are we able to measure actually what we are doing? Is what we are doing contributing to us achieving the strategy? Looking to become a data-driven organization, balance scorecard is the point to start. If you're looking to transform the organization, balance scorecard is the place to start. Anthony, I'm seeing also take us through strategy mapping in balance scorecard. Now that's a whole entire class on itself. We cannot be able to achieve it through this session, right? But again, that is done when you're doing your workshopping and you're creating the corporate strategy maps. Because if you're going any place, you have a map to guide you, to know whether you're going in the right direction or not. So, Anthony, that's a whole. Okay, so Alan, I'm seeing what makes it different from any other objective setting table. Now, there are a number of management tools. OKR is one, it's called what? Key result something, objectives. What makes balance scorecard different is that it balances everything such that you know there's a value chain. Let me just draw here. What people want, what let me just type this a little bit. Okay, so I hope everyone can see what we have. We have financial, we have customers, we have internal processes, and we have enablers. So balance scorecard looks at creating value. Your people lie in enablers, your IT, your everything. Your internal process is how you do things in your organization. So internal processes and enablers are internal in your organization. Customers and financial are external. So most organizations focus on financial. We care about the bottom line. That's what we care about. We care about profitability, return on investment. But then this is to come from your financials come from your customers. And your customers are either satisfied or dissatisfied because of your internal processes. Your internal processes are purely at the mercy of the people and the IT that you have. So you cannot expect 1 billion in profits if your customers are not satisfied, if you do not have your internal processes in order, and if your people do not have the capability to deliver to you 1 billion. So we are saying what Balance Scorecard says as a tool is for you to get the financial returns you want. There are things that need to happen with the customers, either customer loyalty, customer satisfaction, customer appreciation. But for this to happen, you have the right to have the right internal processes in your organization. And this is one of the outcomes. Most organizations that do undertake the balance scorecard, they do business process reengineering. But then these processes are run by people. So an IT and knowledge. So do we have the right capability to deliver the financial we want? That basically is what makes balance scorecard a good management tool. Okay, so I'm seeing Alan Joroge, what makes it, we dropped balance scorecard for being too bulky, e.g. some departments do not have financial perspective. Now, Alan, I can actually predict what you guys did. You looked at all the operations everybody were doing, and so some people had, and then you put them into the perspectives, so some people had no financial perspectives. Again, I would really like to look into that, but I guess there is nobody who does not contribute in any of the four. IT, their financial contribution, are they getting us the right tools to do our work? The guys in taking the operational department, back office, is the investment on employee, are we getting a good return from it? So again, if you take operational issues and try to map them to the four perspectives, it doesn't work. That's not how it works. So Alan, I'd like to share with you my email address. Kindly reach out. Let me just type it up here, and it would be our pleasure to help you and see where you guys did wrong, because balance scorecard works. Now, the interesting thing is that if I can share on the statistics of balance scorecard, um, uh, there is a research done by Palladium. Just you can just let me just 1 minute. So one of the reasons why strategy fails is that because one, people do not want to learn, people do not want to change. People want to adopt the balance scorecard and continue doing things the way they were. People want to adopt the balance scorecard and continue doing things the way they were doing them. They want things to remain the same. It doesn't work because you've said it's a transformational tool, so it needs to be transformed. Yeah, it needs to be transformed. The people need to transform. The organization needs to be transformed. Yeah. So one of the reasons strategy balance scorecard doesn't work is again. How you design your strategy. Now, Alan, just a quick one. Did you guys do the balance scorecard internally, or you had external help from consultants? Just to help understand as we move on. So, yes, again, the area financial aspect can, in my view, can be anything that brings in money or saves money. Totally correct. For not a profit organization, will you still put financial at the top? Now, balance scorecard strategy maps for non-profit are totally different from the ones for corporate, again, different from government. So you have three types of balance scorecard for commercial entities, for NGOs, and for government, right? External, though it was passed down to me from internal source. Okay, Alan, let's pick this conversation. However, I think there was not much investment, and an investment is not just money, but also in the desire investment. Because one, if you do know what balance scorecard can bring in, then And I think I'll share with you one of the biggest problem is the change management. Because now here you're telling people we have been doing these things this way, and from today we are doing it in a different way. You'll have a lot of resistance, even from EXCO itself. Yeah. So because even one EXCO have to change the way they have been doing things. If they have been meeting at EXCO to discuss operational issues, that has to change. They have to start, and at least one meeting in every month, they have to be discussing what has happened around strategy. Yeah. Uh, okay. Will Okay, Alan, I thought it was I've responded to your question properly. We dropped BSc for being too bulky. Balance scorecard is work, but once you have it, it's only work in the first year. It's just like a baby starts walking. Once a baby starts walking, your nearly requires the desire to change. Those are the drivers, and it requires a new culture to support it. So one of the things that happens is you take on the balance scorecard, you have to change your culture. You'll have to change your leadership. You'll have to map out the competencies you require to achieve the strategy. Because most people, you design the strategy and you say, okay, let's go ahead. But then you don't look inwards and say, do we have actually the capacity to achieve that strategy which we have just come up with? So then if you don't have the capacity, you can either say, okay, let us sit down and expect miracles. Things will happen. One or the other, things will happen and we'll achieve our strategy. Or then build the capacity in terms of competencies, in terms of culture that you actually require to achieve that strategy. There was a question, yeah. Okay, again to the audience. If there is another question from the audience. So let me share for the benefit of everyone, the common barriers to successful strategy execution. Number one, clear vision and strategy. So these are things you hear we need to change, but there isn't strong sense of urgency or commitment. So Alan, for your case, was actually commitment. There's a lack of alignment. How many people here in the organization, this is something you hear? This is not mine, it is Department X. If that is something common you hear in the organization, this is not mine, it's someone for Department X. You hear that? Basically, you have silos where there are things that belong to Department X and they're not sure. Now imagine you're in a boat and you're rowing, and every department is contributing to the rowing of the boat. Is there anything that does not belong to anyone when they're in that boat? If rowing that boat is for the survival of the organization, right? So balance scorecard also helps eliminate these silos. So there are things either just like information, you receive information for you to know, for your information or for your action. So again, we are all contributors or we are all owners of something. So again, one of the things in the balance scorecard, you map everything and you know who contributes what, who owns what. So there is never nothing ours. You either own it or you contribute it. There was a raised hand. A raised hand. Okay.
It's okay, Martin.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So there's also the barriers to successful strategy execution. The other one is disjointed planning and processes. This is is there any people who are here in this session? Your organization, even at EXCO level or at the lower level, there is no politics. Yes? Or there is no politics, and my God, we have a lot of politics. And everybody wants their way. Kindly share with us. Yes, we have no politics. No, we have a lot of politics in the organization and self-interest. So what you find is there is lack of alignment. You find uh, every chief or every head of department wants their way, and they do not care or they do not know how their way affects everyone else in the organization. So there's misalignment. Yeah. And so that is one of the things that causes strategy failure in strategy execution. The other thing is the inability to monitor, test, and adapt. So we are doing things, we don't know what is working, we don't know what is not working. So we all say the whole thing is not working, which is easier because we just generalize. Because if a car is not moving, the car is spoiled. But however, it's not the whole car that is spoiled. The wheels are working, the lights are working, uh, the dashboard controls are working, but maybe it's just the battery that is dead. So it is not right to say that the car is not working. The problem is the battery is not working. So again, when we are doing strategy, we have big ideas that we want to achieve, but we don't ask ourselves, how are we going to achieve this? How will we measure this? How will we know that actually we are on the right path, that we are monitoring, we are testing and adapting what works? So those are the four things that lead to failure in strategy execution. So one, not knowing, not an unclear vision and strategy, lack of alignment, disjointed planning process, and inability to monitor, test, and adopt. So there was another question around BSC. So BSC is the second most used tool in a strategy execution. So the other key thing is a SWOT, and you'll realize balanced scorecard is adapts a number of knowledge areas. So 49% of organizations use balanced scorecard, 61% of organizations use SWOT, and then 44% of organizations use more financial modeling. So every KPI is based on the outcome. Okay, so I'd like to open the floor for any question as we are nearing the end of this session. Questions from the audience? Okay, let me ask, how many people in this would actually want to learn more about balanced scorecard in the training so that they can use it and implement it in their organization? So we have a course that is coming up, which is starting soon with myself and Charles Odoch on the essentials of strategy. And then this is purely for understanding, you'll be able to understand. Then we'll have a second level where you can now actually be able to create things using the balance scorecard. Perfect. So Rachel is sharing my email address. If you will be interested in that course, kindly email us, and then we'll be able to share the course details and course outlines. The session is in July. Alan, the session will be in July. I will share the exact date. Rachel has just shared my email address, martin@highperformanceafrica. Sorry, martin@highperformanceafrica.com. Just a correction, Rachel is correcting that. It's martin@highperformanceafrica.com. So the session will be virtual, and it will be in the month of July, starting in about 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now. So kindly email us, and then we'll be able to share the course outline and the course learning objectives. Okay, we have about 6 minutes. I'd like to welcome a question from the audience. Odoch will also be sharing the cost on the email to those who send us that mail. Just for advice, I'm hoping this is your organization that will be sending you for the training, right? Get a buy-in from your organization so that they can help you attend this training. Yes, Alan, it is going to be virtual. So one of the things we are doing right now is creating instruction design for our virtual programs. You know, we are creating instruction design for our virtual programs. So we're running all our programs virtual, and then maybe we're towards the next year or later in the year, we can have self-paced learning programs. So I hope that helps out Alan and Okoth. So wherever you are, you can be able to participate in this learning program. Let me take any other questions from the audience before we close this session. Any question that we have not responded? Just trying to look at chat to see. So Anthony, the creating the strategy maps, mapping to BSc, that is part of the training session also. So your questions around that would be able to be answered. And normally what we ask is that you, at least by the time you're starting that training, the prerequisite is that you know the strategy of the organization so that you can be able to start seeing some few things around there. So back to this question of BSc in a manufacturing setting, you will find manufacturing firms have a lot of operational business as usual. Everyone knows they come in and this is what they produce, this is what they're supposed to do. So at a lower level, the balance scorecard will be looking at the achievement of the operational tasks and activities. At a higher level, it will be looking at what are the managers doing to ensure continued growth and continued sustenance of the and renewal of the organization. So a balance scorecard, yes, is applicable to everyone in the organization, but with different, just like pay. The higher your education, the higher your level, the more is expected of you. All right. So just maybe a few questions. Okay, so if you have not received previous recording, kindly first of all check in your junk mail whether our email is landing in your spam, right? So I'll just be typing the email that we send it from. We do not use our own, we send our emails from services@salespowerafrica.com, most like from Susan. Susan sent. So if you can check that email address and then mark it as spam, mark it as not spam. Yesterday we sent a link with all the recordings right from April the 15th. So check your spam mail and then you can mark it. It will be in your email. Yeah. Okay. So unless there's any other question, we'd like to close this session today. But before we close, I'd like you to rate today's session on a scale of 1 to 5. How applicable is the session to what you do? So Peter, how do we pay for the certificate? So I think this week you'll be able to share a link where you can make payments through your credit card. For people who are outside Kenya, for people who are in Kenya, I think M-Pesa will work. So Peter, we will share that link shortly. We're just finishing up on that assignment. So we'll be able to share the payment payment link through credit card. So also again, we shared that just what Peter has touched, we have received requests of certificates of proof of learning. So we said, okay, we'll be able to prepare certificates for everyone who's participated in the sessions at a small fee, administrative fee of 400 shillings per session. Then we can be able to create that and share with you. There's a link we set. Again, this is for people who need the proof of learning. The proof of learning certificate can be used for to prove to your various institutes that actually you've been learning and these are the sessions you undertook learning in. And again, also again for your own record. So on our emails today, we will include the link where you can actually say, yes, I do want a certificate of proof of learning. Thank you very much, and thank you for the good rating. We appreciate. Oh yes, in Uganda you can use M-Pesa. I think Uganda and Tanzania and Rwanda you can use M-Pesa. So Emmanuel, I think we will be able to. We have shared the M-Pesa till number, so you can be able to sign up on the form and then make the payment on our till, and then we can be able to process your certificates for you. Thank you very much. So any question that is not upcoming? Oh, okay, Alan. So we have been running these webinar sessions from April, and we have received requests from participants that can I performance provide certificates for proof of learning, or what you'd call certificates of attendance. So we said, okay, we will be able to work on that, and we would be charging a small administrative fee of 400 shillings for each session, and then we can be able to provide that to the participants. So I hope that is very well clear what we're talking about. So thank you very much. We'd like to bring this session to an end. If there are any further questions, you can email me. If there is any conversation you'd like to pick up with us, we can pick that up on email. And we would like to welcome you to our next week's session, which will be on productivity, where we'll be looking at work motion studies and how exactly do we measure performance of productivity of employees. One, if you're measuring productivity, you need to know how much is a person in that position of good health able to produce, and what is our team producing. So we will have a nice combination of a HR who's got an engineering background and someone in performance management. So we'd like to thank you, everyone. I've just posted up my email just in case for anything you'd like to receive to inquire. We request you to email. You can email me, and we'll be able to sort out whatever issue you'd have. For any question that might come up again after this session, you can also email. We thank you very much for making time to be with us this morning, and we appreciate. Thank you very much, and everyone have a great day. And see you next week on Tuesday, 11 to 12 p.m.